I was confused, I was angry, I was hurt.
It was a tragedy that shook the Louisville community. 4 teenaged boys all killed in a car crash in 2008. A tragedy that started with a stolen car, crashed into a tree. All 3 of Marc Hampton's sons died that day.
The realization is it's just total pain.
Hampton recently passed away, but not before sharing a compelling message of the power to forgive.
My kid's name ain't gonna be tarnished by my actions.
I can't forgive him. He continues to try to hurt me.
Plus, a Power to Change viewer is reaching out for that same power after her husband left her and her 3 kids. An expert weighs in on the topic of healing and letting go of anger.
Forgiveness, it's important to know what it's not.
Power to Change begins right now.
You saved my life.
Today is beyond my wildest dreams.
Did you feel that?
You've got the power.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Power to Change. So happy that our studio audience could join us and you at home. Today, our topic is a very serious one, the power to forgive. I know for me, it is a natural inclination to want to seek revenge when someone does something to me or hurts me in any kind of way. But today, we are seeking to do just the opposite. We learn a very important story from 2 families who lost loved ones in a tragic car accident.
I was a single father with 3 sons.
This is Marc Hampton just a few weeks before his death, a father who suffered the unexplainable loss of his entire family. Standing in the Garden of Angels in memory of his sons and their friend, he never knew he'd lose his own life just weeks later. But he did, found dead in his apartment after suffering a heart attack. His sudden death makes the life lessons on forgiveness he shared even more profound.
You just can't believe, that your whole family's dead.
On this day, he takes us back to the excruciating pain of December 2008.
It was around 9 o'clock. My kids didn't make it home yet. I usually home around 8:30.
He should have been home by now.
Robin Shields and her husband Frankie were expecting their son Aaron home around that same time.
Miss Niecy called us in the process and said that we needed to get to the hospital because there had been an accident.
Then my daughter said, well, you better come to the hospital. And then that's when I knew something wasn't right.
There was 3 kids dead at the scene and 1 in surgery upstairs. I knew it had to be my kids.
Police told the 2 families their sons Jemar, Demar and Marc Jr. Claybrooks and Aaron Shields had been in a tragic car accident and crashed into a tree. All of the kids died from the collision, with the exception of the 1 kid who was driving the stolen car involved in the crash, Herbert Lee. The families were left wondering how their kids, who left on a Youth Alive van for a fun activity, ended up in a stolen vehicle. Marc told us what he discovered from the youth organization in charge.
The 2 women asked my kids to get off of the van that brought them to play basketball in the East End and ride home in a car with some little boy they didn't know.
I have nightmares because I hear him saying they got him, and I know I didn't raise her and like it. Still nobody's car,
Herbert Lee did eventually face a jury, found not guilty on charges of murder and reckless homicide, but guilty on 4 counts of manslaughter. In July of this year, after being released, he stole another car and went back to jail.
It wasn't just one person responsible. My instant reaction was anger, of course. I mean, I'd be lying to you if I said anything less. My instant reaction is anger. But then, you have to also use common sense, My kid's name ain't gonna be tarnished by my actions. It was some people who never apologized, and they never will apologize. And you have to deal with those people and let those people live their life and be themselves, because that's something that they gotta deal with. On my behalf, if I forgive you for what you did, that's all I got to do in the eyes of God.
After struggling with their loss, the Shields found the power to forgive as a gift to their son, Aaron.
Aaron wouldn't want me to walk around with anger, He wouldn't want me to be sad because Aaron was a happy person,
and he wanted everybody around him to be happy. So I try to carry that, you know, the joy that he brought in my life, you know. So I try to carry that every day. Me being sad, yeah, me being angry is not gonna bring Aaron back.
Freedom stands in forgiveness. It's not often that God blesses you with an angel, and that's how this name of this ground got to be Garden of the Angels, because that's what them young boys was. We try to always just be thankful for not what we lost, but what we had.
I am being a man about it because that's what a man does. We take those steps that we have to take in order to endure for not just your family, but your community.
We are talking about the power to forgive today. This would be the ultimate level of forgiveness. How can you forgive the person who is responsible for taking your son's life? Well, that's something that Robin and Frankie have had to do. Robin, tell me how you felt at first after you had received the news. Take me back to what you felt.
I was numb, shocked, you know, I couldn't believe, you know, what they were telling me. You know, like I was dreaming.
Were you angry?
I was dreaming at first, you know. It's like this is not happening, you know. That's where I was at first, you know, and then it turned to anger, you know, to where, I wanted to do something, you know, to somebody. I had people coming to me, asking me, you know, did I want them to go do something, you know?
They were asking you if you wanted them to go take care of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And your first response was?
My first response was, yeah, I did.
Robin, you talked about the anger being so deep.
Yeah. I got real sick. I lost a lot of weight. Then I started going to counseling because I just couldn't, you know. I wanted to die, really. I did. And I knew I had Andrew. I had to get myself together for Andrew and my grandkids and my daughter. I have a daughter with lupus, you know.
And you had to find some way to keep living there for them. Frankie, did you feel anger as well?
Yes, I felt very angry. And it didn't necessarily point to anyone. It just, no certain person. I was just angry at everybody.
Because there were so many people involved. It wasn't just the person, Herbert Lee, who was driving that car, but it was the people that were over this youth organization that you had left your son.
Yeah.
And any mother, I'm a mother, I have a 13-year-old son, Tyler, you know, to know that I put him in someone else's care.
Right.
So it was a lot. It was a lot.
Yes, a lot, you know, to absorb at one time, you know.
But you've stuck together and you've found a way. You found a way to forgive. And coming up after this commercial break, we want to talk about how Robin and Frankie found their power to change, what stories they can teach you, and how we can learn from others.
And just ahead on Power to Change, a face-to-face meeting with the kid who was driving the car the night the Shield's son died.
He's left us in a horrible position. I can't forgive him.
Plus, one woman shares her painful story about struggles with a man who abandoned her and her 3 kids. And she learns a powerful lesson on how to forgive.
Power to Change, brought to you by the University of Louisville.